Many people don't know that 2012 represents my 50th year in some form of public service and 40 years of elective office. I have served with every modern mayor under our new charter except one, and that was Mayor John Babiarch, which totals 5 mayors and 10 seated city councils. Each mayor was different and moved the city forward. Each city council member was different, and the next mayor will be different from me and move the city forward. It has been a wonderful 12 years as mayor, helping to transform this great city into a city that is able to compete, grow, and prosper within this new millennium and decade. The just completed decade was a departure from the past. We have now moved into a very troubling time. What we once knew and depended upon has vanished before our eyes, never to be seen again in our country. The last decade ushered in a collapse of our economy and made it very clear that new economic systems are needed. We are now faced with projected global changes of grave consequences. We are witnessing an ever-declining middle class and an ever-rising cost of living, with the top 1% controlling 50% of America's wealth. We are living with political deadlock, decline, and paralysis. We have inherited a never-ending war against terrorism, while at home we face ever-increasing health care problems. Our nation's education system is in deep trouble. The last decade has produced layers of abandonment and the resulting effects upon our American cities. One of these tragic crises which we need to address immediately is the genocide of young African American males. They are using guns and violence against each other in our city and cities across the nation. This is a tragedy beyond words. There are continuing demands and cries for the police to stop it or government to stop it. Neither police nor government will stop it. Arresting people only provides temporary relief and will not stop the madness. The only way to stop it is to begin raising our children properly. We've got to properly educate our children and instill in them the best and most noble of values. The highest among them is that violence, which is a learned behavior, must stop. Let me quote 2 very great African Americans. Malcolm X once said, "We ourselves have to lift the level of our community, the standard of our community, to a higher level, make our own society beautiful so that we will be satisfied. We've got to change our minds about each other." End of quote. Paul Robeson said, "This is our home and this is our country. Beneath its soil lies the bones of our fathers. For it, some of them fought, bled, and died." Lastly, someone said, "It's time for strong brothers to stand up and accept their responsibility for helping our people. Raise your sons and daughters, educate them and keep them from harm. Teach them high moral values." For many, police actions were and are the only solution, which was the wrong answer. But because of the deafening roar of so many, reason was ignored. But thank God for mayors like Nutter of Philadelphia, Landrieu of New Orleans, Bloomberg of New York City, and many others who have joined together and are fighting back by demanding national action and solutions to end this national tragedy. By coming together on this issue, many of us no longer have to stand alone as the only ones with our fingers in the dike. Many cities in our region are suffering from this genocide. Now the National Conference of Mayors, the National League of Cities, the National Conference of Black Mayors, and others are speaking with one voice and calling for solutions far beyond just police as a way to deal with this crisis. The solutions are before us, yet many do not see them, they do not hear them, and they do not talk about them. One only has to understand the causes of black-on-black crime to take effective action. This is no curse. It is caused by humans, and it can be solved by humans. Even with all of these troubling storms at our doorstep, we took our city to new heights with a level of achievements and successes not seen since World War II. The expectations that people have about what city government should be doing or could be doing is vast. However, as we know, our services are basic city services and very limited. Our accomplishments were enormous when you see the vastness of the issues we addressed. Our efforts were honored with 18 national awards. I know there are still many things that need to be done, but I know the next administration will do its best to move our city forward, just as I and other mayors have done. One only needs to look at all of the various issues the new administration must deal with to know what lies ahead. I'll give you a small listing of some of these issues, such as housing, parking, parks, legal issues, constituent services, crime, employees, unions, non-union, planning commission, zoning changes, board of adjustment, economic development issues, taxes, wage and property, operating budget, pensions, city council, federal government, meetings, audits, various city projects, the arts, neighborhood development, riverfront development, downtown development, the fiscal year budget of 2014, budget deficits, budget reserves, fees, soil, air, and other environmental issues, water system management, sewer system management, traffic issues, capital bond issues, facilities management, public safety, police and fire management, code enforcement issues, quasi-city corporations, and much, much more. Having a very good staff in place can make situations easier to handle and assist with good decisions. Your success or failure in this office depends on it. Good people working together make things happen. Negative people just stand on the sidelines and play Monday morning quarterbacks and get nothing done. Thanks to all my staff, the department heads, our city employees, city treasurer, and city council for all you've done. Together, we have been able to achieve many victories for our city. For nothing I have done or accomplished was done by me alone. It happened because of the wonderful people, like the staff, department heads, the many great employees, the business community, the nonprofit groups, the neighborhood groups, and just good everyday people who made this a better city. Someone once said, even the smallest victory is never to be taken for granted. Each victory must be applauded because it is so easy not to battle at all, to just accept and call that acceptance inevitable. End of quote. I do know for sure that one of the best ways to fail is to try and please everyone. And the second way is to fail is to listen to your critics. Never as a youngster growing up in a small town in Ohio did I dream of such a career in public service, and certainly not as an elected official. Nor did I think I would work for a governor and a mayor, nor did I ever dream of meeting presidents of the United States, kings and queens, and other royalty. Nor did I believe I would ever meet senators, U.S. representatives, mayors, governors, generals, movie stars, singing stars, actors, actresses, and other performing artists, masters of fine art as well, presidents and CEOs of corporations, ambassadors, delegations of all kinds from many different countries, writers, authors of books, poets, people from many other fields of endeavors, as well as just generally good people from all walks of life. When I go home to visit my mother and family, she lets everybody know, just like she said, this is the mayor of the city of Wilmington, Delaware, to my embarrassment. She always asks, why don't you tell, and she said it, geez, why don't you tell people who you are? She is 90, and I'm still the child. From my beginning in Wilmington as a VISTA volunteer in 1966, I have been helped and supported by many, many good people. People who I have learned from as well as taught. People never asking for anything for themselves, only for others and their communities. I've worked with many good, honest, and decent elected officials who only wanted to improve their community and our city. And they were not self-centered, uninformed, power-hungry, or the ones that play the blame game. Service to the people, to me, is one of the noblest things any person can do, and the highest honor in service to people is to be elected. I've never seen myself doing the politically safe thing or whatever the polls say. My job was never to just tell people what they wanted to hear or the politically correct thing, but rather what is the right thing to do. I was always honest, straightforward, or blunt, as some would say. However, there was a price to pay. It has always angered some who thought I shouldn't be that way. But if you are not who you really are, then you're a fraud to yourself and others. St. Francis de Sales once said, "Do not wish to be anything but what you are, and try to be that perfectly." End of quote. In spite of being outspoken and stubborn at times, I created over 100 major laws, programs, or initiatives during 40 years of public service and took hundreds of other actions that have helped thousands of people. The American spirit has been badly damaged and must be restored. Today, the survival of American cities is at the root of the survival of America. This nation must establish a national urban policy to save our cities and our country. Regardless of the civilization, regardless of the government, regardless of the history, regardless of the wealth, regardless of the military or royal power, great cities have survived by producing great architecture, art, institutions, great knowledge, great inventions, great economics, religions, beauty, technology, great people, and great promise. All of the above is slowly being eliminated in this country because of our own ignorance, our arrogance, our politics, our greed, and our lack of vision. Biblical text makes it clear that for the lack of vision, the people will perish. So that is why I, with your support, have tried to give a vision for our city's future and that of a world-class city. The London Times magazine has recognized Wilmington as an up-and-coming micro world-class city. This is why we should continue to strive to make Wilmington not only a place to be somebody, but a world-class city for living, working, entertaining, and visiting. In our sister city relationships, we are already related to France, Germany, Great Britain, Nigeria, Sweden, and we have a friendship city in China. Matter of fact, just today, we met with the Chinese, and we're going forward on trying to make them also a sister city in Ningbo, China. If you haven't noticed, the old model of the nation state is struggling to survive. Not only are we changing as a nation, so are all nations changing around the world. The only constant are cities worldwide that are moving, changing, innovating, and giving visionary leadership. Prime Minister Nehru of India once observed, the development and growth of local communities reflect the quiet revolution of mankind, and cities that do not dare to change will fall behind because mankind is undergoing this revolution at an ever quicker rate. Today, at the beginning of the 21st century, cities are increasingly the driving force in making necessary changes to bring prosperity to citizens all across the world. And for the first time in history, over half the world's population lives in cities. Without strong, vibrant cities, the future is bleak for millions of people. A world-class city was always my goal for our great city. We were not trying to be Paris, Rome, or London, but a city where its uniqueness would cause people to want to live, work, and be entertained and visit. Let's continue to enjoy the beauty of our city, the history of our city, the neighborhoods of our city, the waters of our city, the great educational institutions of our city, the unique businesses of our city, and the people of our city who are the ones that make all of these sectors in Wilmington work and flourish. They are the ones who believe greatness is what you make of it. People don't just make greatness. Events create the opportunity for greatness because people seize the moment. Thus, out of vision and greatness is the faith in the possibilities and the ideals that are born for the greater good. For faith is at the root of all human existence and achievements. I have always said and believe cities are the greatest creation of humankind. Next, I want to talk about governing and the increasing philosophical war in our country. This war is not singular. It has many fathers, mothers, and cousins. It is not from one political spectrum, but ranges from the far right to the far left, all clamoring to be heard or propagandizing their points of view. Compromise is a dirty word, and working together seems all but impossible. How long have we heard that there are lazy, dumb, and incompetent government workers and politicians at all levels? How long have you heard about crooked politicians and friends? How long have you heard that the country is going to hell in a handbasket? How long have you heard about the evils of raising taxes? How long have you heard about the government being anti-Christian and supporting evil causes or actions? How long have you heard that we need term limits for all politicians because we don't want professional politicians, as if this is wrong by its very nature? How long have we seen the battles over civil rights, women's rights, unions versus non-union, and conservatives versus liberals, socialism, communism, fascism, and capitalism, as well as other isms versus a democratic society? How often have you heard what the founders meant in the construction of the Constitution, or those advocating strict construction or original intent versus an activist judge or judges? How long have we fought over the Second Amendment and its meaning and interpretation? How long have we fought over states' rights, the battles between Democrats and Republicans? How long have we fought over the legality of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution? How long have we debated abortion or the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision? How long have we debated affirmative action programs? How long have we debated climate change? How long have we debated the poor, welfare, social programs, and other issues? How long have we debated education? How long have we debated Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid? And how long have we debated military issues? How long will we fight over red state versus blue states? None of these issues I have just stated have been solved or agreed upon by the American people, leaving us with a split nation of about 49% to 49%, with about 2% not fixed on either side of these issues. For even when a compromise is supposed to have been created, it was too little, too late, and didn't solve the problems. We seem to be determined to see no compromise, speak no compromise, nor hear no compromise. This state of affairs will not continue forever. A change will come, and maybe not to anyone's liking. Remember, the great bonds of humankind are our spirit, our compassion, our courage, and our respect. These qualities are not limited to gender, race, income, or politics. The success of America has not been our sameness, but rather our differences. And those differences allow us to coexist with our sameness. Some doubt us and our potentials, while others see our potential in a greater nation, state, and city of tomorrow. The human spirit cannot be defeated unless crushed by hatred, doubt, and fear. Government is a necessity of humankind, for only God can govern without human input or control. It is not about who is smarter, who has the right philosophy or religious belief. It's about human beings trying to make this country, this very city, live within a more perfect union, and that union is made up of Americans of all colors, all religions, all political thoughts, and all sections of the country, living under the laws of man, such as our Constitution, and those prescribed by God is for all men and women. A greater America and city is ours for the making. President John F. Kennedy once said, "The American by nature is optimistic. He is experimental, an inventor, and a builder who builds best when called upon to build greatly. Arouse his will to believe in himself, give him a great goal to believe in, and he will create the means to reach it." If we work together, we can continue growing the greatness of our city and the uplifting of the better part of our nature. We must use our creativity, our faith, our intellect, our understanding, and tolerate our differences to make it happen. Once again, Thank you all for a grand 40-year adventure, which I will never forget. God bless you all, and God bless our country, our state, and our city. I thank you kids for showing up tonight. Good night.